Hello, I'm Ray Bradshaw and this is the Scottish Football Podcast. All the news, views and analysis you need on Friday the 24th of October. And it was quite the night in Europe.
Chance for number 3 and there it is. Third goal for Brann, and it's a great tape by Noah Holm as well. And it is Brann 3, Rangers 0. Another dreadful night for Scottish football.
Defeat for Rangers in Danny Rowe's first match, and Aberdeen hit for 6 in Greece. And we've got a whole weekend of action to look forward to.
Chance for Braga and the goalkeeper in. And it's a double for Cillian Braga. Hearts will stay top. Goal! Dyson Maid has done it!
On Sunday, the game everyone's been looking forward to is Hearts host Celtic. And there's plenty more gripping Premiership action across the weekend.
Oh, Aberdeen have scored. Fantastic goal. Lazetic has been excellent since he's came on.
And that man, Junior Hoylett, again, just lifts it into the roof of the net. Game, set and match at Easter Road.
Aberdeen Hibs is just one of the other several intriguing encounters.
The Scottish Football Podcast.
Yes, good morning. What a night it was for the Scottish teams. You had at least Celtic saving some grace, putting the Scottish coefficient just slightly above Mordor. We've got two brilliant guests for us. Joining us as ever on the podcast, we have Cillian Sheridan. I've got 3 clubs here, but I could name 17. The former Celtic, Kilmarnock and Dundee striker. Cillian, how are you this morning?
Very good, Ray. Thank you.
Did you, European experience, did you make your European debut against Man U, was it? What was yours?
It was, Man United away. Champions League.
It's not bad, is it?
Nah, none of that Europa League nonsense.
And we're also joined by Moira Gordon, journalist extraordinaire. Moira, over the years of covering Scottish football, I'm guessing you've seen some bad nights in Europe. How bad was last night?
I don't even know whether we get it too bad or that now. Anyway, I think we're kind of flatlining at that. We're just kind of used to what's happening at the moment, sadly. But no, it wasn't a brilliant night. And I think especially the Aberdeen one, when you look at teams getting scalped, that's embarrassing, regardless who you're playing against, what you're doing, you don't want to have that kind of deficit. So, not a great night.
And do you think your beloved Spartans could have defended better against AEK Athens?
Let's be silly. Not be too silly. Let's be a wee bit more realistic. I love Spartans, fantastic. But, and our defenders are wonderful guys. But, I think we might have struggled as well.
You should have seen off camera. Cillian was telling me that Brecon would have beat them 6-0. So I think we've got a lot of confidence in the podcast this morning. So let's kick off with last night in Europe. I think the place to start is obviously Celtic got the win, but let's start with Rangers. First game for a brand new manager, Danny Rowe. 3-0 defeat by Brann over in Norway, and they went down quite meekly. Cillian, how do you think Danny Rowe's first game went?
It's always a tough one for him to come into. First of all, it's an away game. It's in Europe. You're not really going to get many easy games at that level. I think he probably, in an ideal world, he comes in, has a great start, gets the fans behind him straight away, because that seems to be one of the issues there, is the fan unrest, and you can kind of feel it in games and stuff. It's now probably aimed more towards people above Danny Rowe, but I think when you're a new manager coming in, especially into an environment like that, you want to just kind of try and change the tide of support and fans' feelings. I think it gets to a stage where you then start to look at the players and see how they've been performing. I think they're giving away per goals. He'll probably be into trying to change that and fix that as soon as he can. Yeah,
it's I think that's the perfect question for you, Moira, then, off the back of Cillian. What does Danny Rowe need to change ahead of the visit to Kilmarnock?
It's a really tough job for him coming in, because normally you would get a managerial bounce to a certain extent, even if players are limited or tactically things are wrong. But as you said, that was a meek performance last night. And if you're not performing and giving 100% or 100, that ideal 120% everybody talks about, then if you're not doing that for a new manager, when are you going to do it? So he's going to look at the guys in his dressing room and think, really, what have I inherited? It might be that managers come in and think this player doesn't necessarily suit my tactics or my style, but at least I know he's given everything for the club. I'm not sure he looked at the team last night and would have thought that really feeling that he was getting that 100% from them anyway. So what he changes for Kilmarnock, it's a really tough ask in a couple of days. I think what he really needs is some sort of patience from the fans, and that's one thing he's probably not going to get. So it's a tough job for him to come in there, and I'm not sure he can change too much ahead of Kilmarnock, especially when you're thinking you're not even getting that new managerial bounce from the players, and fans, as Cillian said, there's still that unrest there that's going to be in the stands as well, maybe not directed at him the way it was to Russell Martin, but to people above him. And I don't think it's not going to be all nice and pally and resolved in the space of a few days, and certainly not even a few weeks. I don't think. I think it's still going to be a bit of a struggle for him, and I do feel for him a bit.
Yeah, already day 4 of his job. Cillian, you've played under enough managers. Is the new manager bounce a thing? What happens when a new manager comes in? Do you feel the atmosphere change around the club?
There is a bit of, everyone's a little bit more on edge in a way. Like, sometimes can feel like a new slate for everyone. I don't know if it's such a thing anymore because managers chop and change so frequently now. It's not like before where a manager would get a lot more time than they get now. I think it's just something that happens so frequently now. And the other thing on top of that is normally the fans are, everything's directed at the players aren't performing, whereas now there's always that, because a lot of managers are now, it's more to do with their style and how they play, and it's like his style didn't suit the players, whereas now I feel like players kind of are almost the last group where any blame gets really pointed at. So I think a lot of them kind of, you can get away with a lot more now in terms of a group of players, but I don't think it's really that much of a thing. I think we've seen it over the last little while that you keep saying that like that team's going to be dangerous because they've got this new manager bounce, but I think it's a dying art, if you can call it that.
What does it say about the players, though, Cillian, when they don't lift themselves? A new manager coming in, whether it's at football, any other walk of life, if you've got a new boss coming in, you want to impress them. You want to let them know that you're the valued person in that room. And if players aren't doing that, especially on a night like that, when there was so much, focused on them, what's that say about them?
You've kind of put the team in that situation. And then, like I'm saying, it's a new manager comes in and you're kind of thinking, right, maybe this will change stuff. And then you go play a game, you're doing the same mistakes, you're giving away the same kind of sloppy goals. And then you're just kind of thinking, well, here we are again, like not much has really changed. Although, like Ray said, like it's 4 days in. It's a bit early he won't have really had time to go and implement his own style and what he wants to do, his methods. And by all accounts, he's a very good coach. So he probably just needs time on the actual training pitch with them.
How do you feel, Kelly, in the fact that there's a manager who'd imagine is similar ages to you, if not younger?
Didn't know that.
What age are you, Cillian?
36. What age is he?
36.
36. Great age. I don't know. It's strange when I've had it before with sometimes coaches a little bit more than managers, younger coaches or younger head coaches now. It can be there is a little bit of a strange dynamic where if things aren't going well, or if you don't agree with something they're doing or saying, there is always that thing in the back of your head where you'll be like, kind of, what does he know? Like, I've been in football more than him. You feel like I know more than him. So it's probably about how he carries himself, how he probably needs to go in and demand respect of players straight away. That's probably the only real issue.
Let's move on to another club in Europe last night. Celtic, obviously, a better result. Came from behind to beat Sturm Graz. No goals from the strikers, though. Plenty of chances passed up and more injuries for them. It doesn't feel like Brendan Rodgers is back on easy street yet. Moira, what did you make of the game?
I think it's fair to say they're not back on, back where they want to be. But I think at the end of the day, it's a results business. You got a result. but I think there was a high cost paid. I think the injuries are going to be a factor. I think they're going to have to hope that Maeda's back. He failed his late fitness test for that game, so they're going to have to hope that he's back at the weekend and gives them hopefully a bit of a spark, because losing especially Alistair Johnston, I think he's such a key player for them, and for him to fall at the first hurdle coming back from injury was a big loss. So I think Brendan Rodgers will be delighted he got the 3 points, delighted there's a win, and it could be a catalyst to something if they can, move on from there. But I still think the result wasn't as convincing as people want, because there was there was chances there that they passed up, and that's just not the Celtic that people are used to. You're not going in against a team like that and being as worried as you would be if they were taking the high percentage of chances that they usually do. So I think there's still issues at Celtic, and again, the off-field ones are a factor in it as well. They'll celebrate the fact they got the 3 points last night, but I'm not sure there was too much more to be that joyous about.
Yeah, and I think, Cillian, you've probably been in this situation kind of when you were breaking through at Celtic, when you've got Ian Acho, looks like he'll be out, they don't know for how long. You've got Daizen Maeda failing fitness tests. If you're in Johnny Kenny's shoes, what do you do to take the chance? Will you feel pressurised? Because last night looked like he looked good in sparks. At other points, he looks like he was rushing, trying to impress. How does he need to do? What would he do in this situation?
Probably just double down on what his game is at the minute, which is he made himself some chances just from persistence, pressing, enthusiasm. Gold will come from that. He will get rewarded with it. Probably helped them that he gets put it. It's like, he ultimately played 90 minutes, but it's a completely different build up to a game if you're starting a game like that. Like it was a big game for Celtic. There was a lot of pressure after per results. All that pressure kind of is taken away when you're not starting. When you're on the bench and you're coming on as a striker, there's a chance for me to be a match winner or whatever, and you just got a different preparation for a game, like mentally. Whereas when you're on the bench and someone gets injured straight away, it's not like you're out warming up and you've time to think, oh, am I coming on? Is he going to bring me on or so and so? You're just on straight away. The fact that it happened so quickly, you probably didn't have time to think about anything, and then he's straight away in the game. Yeah,
and the final Scottish team in Europe last night, Aberdeen, after 2 good wins, they were back to their worst against AEK Athens, losing 6-0. A real chaotic display, wasn't it, Moira?
I think that's the biggest concern for Aberdeen fans or the manager, is looking at just how much or how quickly it fell apart. When it started going wrong, they just didn't seem to find a way to regroup or to try and make it difficult for AEK. So it was just it was almost like watching schoolboy football to a certain extent. That they kind of lost their shape, lost their purpose, lost their fight. And it was just a case, it was happening to them rather than them actually having a major say in the match. And I think that was the concern for them. And it's not something you like to see as a Scottish football fan, seeing any Scottish team going in and getting that kind of spanking. It's not great look for Scottish football. We've had it before. Obviously, they're not the first team to have had that kind of mauling, but it wasn't bonny, as my granny would have said.
Yeah, they were carved open, and it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back. Okay, let's move on to the weekend's football, because Sunday sees what is without doubt the biggest game of the season so far, a 6-pointer, whatever you want to call it, as Celtic travel to Tynecastle to face league leaders Hearts. Cillian, just how big is this game, and how will the game last night affect Celtic, Cillian? Do you think it'll have an impact on this game?
I think it gives them a bit of confidence going into it that they needed. I think Brendan Rodgers seemed to be pretty pleased with the performance, creating more chances, seemed to play with more intensity that he loves and more tempo. Created plenty of chances. Possibly, like, Negrin needed that goal to that match winner after the chances he missed. So maybe he comes in with a little bit of confidence. Massive game. good for the league that there is a kind of a title challenging game, and it's a game that's atmosphere there is always good. Celtic playing away to Hearts, so adding in everything else with it, it's made to be a great game, and hopefully it is.
Yeah, I'm actually really, really looking forward to it, and I never say that about games involving Rangers or Celtic. Moira, to move to the Edinburgh side of the country, what about Hearts? They've got to go into this brimming with confidence.
I think that's what's really exciting about this, is the fact that a team will go in against, Celtic and actually feel that they're going into it believing they can win it. They're believing that they can stick with Celtic, whether they believe they can stick with them right the way until the final day of the league in May, but they believe they can really give them a fright and keep pushing them. So the fact that they're actually doing that, what? Sorry, can you hear that noise there as well? That's like,
yeah.
I don't know where the heck that's even. Sorry, apologies about this, guys. This is turning into a complete nightmare. I don't know what is. Oh, I'm now got a fire alarm going off. This is ridiculous. Sorry. Maybe this is the warning sign for Celtic. There's another team coming from them. That was alarm going off. I'll even do my own sound effects to go with my comments. But no, as I say, I think the fact that Hearts are going into this full of confidence, they'll be going in believing that they can push them pretty far this season. I mean, they do believe that they can push them fairly far this season. Whether they believe they can win the title, I'm not 100% sure, and I don't think anybody is really, seriously talking about that right at this moment in time. We're way too early in the season. But I think it is going to be an interesting game, and it'll be interesting. I think the outcome of it could decide how far Hearts push them. I think if they can get a result on Sunday, then I think that will maybe, I don't know if frighten Celtic, but Celtic haven't been used to having somebody really on their tails for a long time. So if Hearts can get a win and extend that gap, it could be quite interesting to see how that pressure, how Celtic cope with it, because they've not really had it at all for years. Let's be honest, So I am excited about it. But the last time I said I was really excited about a game was the Edinburgh Derby, and that turned out to be honking. So let's not get too carried away.
Crazy to think that Hearts can afford to not win.
Yeah,
which is like they go into it's a real free hit for them.
I think it's a tale of two forward lines in many ways. So Hearts have scored 19 goals this season. Celtic have only managed 11. Moira, Cillian, let's put you both in the spot. Right now, if you're a football fan, whose front line would you rather have just now in your team? Celtics or Hearts? Cillian, who would you rather have?
At the minute, you'd have to go Hearts. Based on form, it's hard to really argue that.
Yeah. Moira?
I agree. And you look at the stats and they back it up, and they're also a front line that's full of confidence. And Cillian will tell you, goal scorers full of confidence are a dangerous thing.
Yeah, I've seen Cillian on a night out. Exactly.
That wasn't confidence he was full of that
night. On to some of the other highlights of the weekend. Another game that I think is going to be very tasty. Sunday afternoon, Aberdeen host Hibs. A real test of Aberdeen's recovery. Cillian, do you expect them to bounce back, or do you think this Hibs will be licking their lips after watching Thursday night?
Yeah, I think Hibs would have been delighted. I just don't think Aberdeen are there at all this season. Probably Europe. I don't know if it kind of at the start of maybe it gave them a bit of an escape from league form and how they've been in the league, but when you get games like that away in Athens, it obviously does the complete opposite to it. It just drains confidence. It kills them. I think the thing is, Hibs have went through their bad patch last season, came through it. They know kind of how to do all that, how to recover. I think the fans as well can see that, and they're all behind David Gray. They know what the team is capable of, whereas I don't think Aberdeen have that. I think fans are probably losing patience with Jimmy Cillian. And I just think their cup win papered over so much last season for Aberdeen. don't really think they deserve to be in Europe. I think they kind of fluked it from winning the cup final, which fair play to them. They've done it, but I just don't think they really deserve to be playing European football. Hibs, even if you go to their qualifiers and their end of the season or last 6 months of the season, they probably deserve to be where Aberdeen were this season. But I don't think Aberdeen will really care about that. Who deserves what? But I really fancy Hibs in that game.
Very brave comments from a man that plays in the Highland League, slagging Aberdeen off winning the cup. That'll be interesting. Moira, Danny Rowe makes his Ibrox bow as Rangers host Killie. European games, Rangers have kind of come unstuck after them in recent years. Do you think this is going to be a bit of a yardstick for him already?
As I said earlier, I think it's such a tough one for him because I don't think he can necessarily change too much in a couple of days, and I think the performance last night will not have given him too much confidence that he's going to be able to right every wrong ahead of this game. Scottish teams know at the moment that Rangers they're, an injured animal, and not in a good way where they're going to come out fighting necessarily. They just, they're there for the taking to a certain extent in the eyes of so many teams. So it's going to be an interesting one for the new manager, a test of how he manages to motivate those players, get them given more throughout a game, not being as meek as they were last night and giving a bit of fight. That'll be as telling, and his man management as much of his tactical prowess. So I think it's going to be a real key one. I think fans will be looking at it. I think the media definitely are going to be scrutinising it and seeing, what he can actually, drag out of those players. And it's going to probably determine whether people look at the rest of his reign in a positive way. And we've seen what happens when the fans don't get a positive vibe early doors. So I think it's going to be a tough one for him. I think it'll be interesting, and I don't think Killie will make it easy for them in the slightest.
No, I definitely agree with that. Cillian, to wrap up the other three fixtures in the top flight, you've got Dundee United hosting St Mirren, two sides looking to find form, essentially. Motherwell go to Livy, a Motherwell side who've won lots of plaudits for their play but have only managed one win. And then you've got Dundee after last week's incredible victory over Celtic, hosting Falkirk. How do you think the rest of the weekend's going to play out for the teams?
I think all those teams there you've mentioned are the teams that you always get the chance to get top six or to maybe nick a European spot by putting together a run of games. And that's what all of those teams have struggled with. St Mirren have been good at it the last few seasons. Whereas I think just that's the problem for a lot of them. They can win one game and then go on a 2 or 3 game losing streak. And I think that it's just about kind of putting yourself above the rest. I think St Mirren probably will. They feel like they've become that regular top 6 team. So they're kind of it's all about building on what's been done. Dundee obviously massive result for them, but again, is it another kind of once off? You have to go and build on what you've done. And Motherwell just need to start turning all this good performances into 3 points. Otherwise, they'll soon find themselves in a position that they don't want to be in.
Yeah, and it's an excellent weekend of Scottish football. Radio-wise, your weekend of football starts on Saturday on Radio Scotland at 12 with Off the Ball, followed by Sports Sound from 2. We'll have live commentary, obviously, of the Celtic and Hearts game on Sunday. And the Saturday show tomorrow morning has an interview with Scottish golfer and kind of moving into Scottish royalty, Bob McIntyre. But the real football starts tonight. BBC Scotland channel for Martin against Bucky Thistle. Our very own Cillian Sheridan will be... Are you doing co-commentary, Cillian?
No, punditry.
Punditry. So if you want to put a face to the name, get on that BBC Scotland channel tonight, 7:30. Well, that's all we got time for. Many thanks to Cillian Sheridan and Moira Gordon, and thank you for listening. Remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day, so to make sure you don't miss out, subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on in your phone. an excellent weekend of Scottish football lined up. I cannot wait for the game on Sunday, but I think, like Moira says, the more hyped up you get about a Scottish game, the more awful it will be. So tune in for Monday where we discuss the 0-0 draw between Celtic and Hearts. Thanks for listening. Enjoy your weekend.
For everything you need to know about your team this season, download the BBC Sport app. All the latest news, goal updates, stats and scores, and insight and analysis. Just select your club to get the biggest stories and best content at your fingertips. What a result. Download the BBC Sport app for everything you need to know about your team this season.